Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this session for Success at CA exams for Paper 5 Indirect Tax Laws. I am CA Shafali Jain.
I am CA Swati Agarwal.
And we both are faculty for Indirect Tax Laws at Board of Studies. In today's session, we'll be taking you through the strategy for revising your syllabus and entire course before the examination, how you can present your answers in a proper manner while during the examination, as well as how you can score well in the paper by managing your time properly, judiciously in the examination. Moreover, we'll take the mock test papers, the questions of mock test papers, and particularly the MCQs, because the reasoning for the MCQs is not provided to the students. So generally, they have a lot of queries regarding these MCQs and their solutions. So we'll be providing you the revision tips as well as the mock test paper solutions. So let us start with the session. So objective of this session is, as I already told you, to provide you the revision strategy before examination. And before starting the session, let me tell you the Zoom link. It's 8463. So you can join through Zoom link for this session. 84631 68 6207. So all of you can join through Zoom link for the session. And in this session, we'll apprise you with the revision strategy before the examination day. You get the preparatory leaves for each paper. And in that day, generally it is a 1-day preparatory leave. So how you can revise your entire syllabus during that period, how you can manage time during the examination, and how you can score well by presenting your answers in a proper manner. After that, if time permits, we'll take some key points that requires attention during the examination. During the examination, what are the common errors which students commit, which you can avoid? That also we'll take after that. So Swati, can you apprise the students with the division of syllabus and an overall broad paper pattern?
Yeah, this paper number 5, Indirect Tax Laws, is of 100 marks. It carries the weightage of 100 marks. And this paper has been divided into two parts. Part 1, Goods and Services Tax, and Part 2, Customs and Foreign Trade Policy. Part 1, Goods and Services Tax, carries the maximum weightage. It carries 80 marks. And Part 2, Customs and Foreign Trade Policy, carries a weightage of 20 marks. 100 marks. And this paper has been divided into two parts. Part 1, Goods and Services Tax, and Part 2. So let's discuss the question paper pattern also. This question paper basically comprises of, two divisions. Basically, one is division A is multiple choice questions, and division B is descriptive portion. Multiple choice question MCQs carries the weightage of 30 marks, and descriptive portion carries the weightage of 70 marks. As far as part 1, goods and services tax is concerned, it carries the weightage of 26 marks, and part 2, customs and foreign trade policy, multiple choice questions will be asked for 4 marks. As we have just discussed, the descriptive portion carries a weightage of 70% basically, so 70 marks. And out of descriptive questions, question number 1 is compulsory. And compulsory questions is only asked from part 1, goods and services tax. There will not be any compulsory question from part 2, customs and foreign trade policy. And out of the remaining 5 questions, there is a choice for one question, and you have to attempt only any 4 questions, only 4 questions out of the remaining 5 questions. Now let's discuss how to attempt the multiple choice questions. The key point to note in case of multiple choice questions is that all the MCQs would be compulsory. There will not be any choice available to you. and no negative marking would be there for wrong answers. No reasoning is required from the students, and MCQs will be application based only and carrying the weightage, carrying the marks, 2 marks. Each MCQ will carry 2 marks, and all the MCQs will be application based. No direct theory question, direct theory multiple choice question will be asked in the examination.
Yes, I think Viraj, that answers your question. You have just asked that any compulsory part in the MCQs. So in MCQs, everything is compulsory. You do not have any choice.
Coming to the pattern of question paper, assessment of this paper, as we have discussed, it would be 30% case scenario based multiple choice questions and 70% is the descriptive questions. It may be noted that preparation strategy for multiple choice questions and descriptive questions would be the same. There is no change in case of preparation strategy. However, the manner of answering the paper for these two divisions would be different. For MCQs, you are not required to provide any sort of reasoning, but for descriptive questions, you have to substantiate the answers with proper reasoning. There would be no negative marking for wrong answers, and each MCQ will have 4 options with only one correct answer. So, for as far as MCQs are concerned, basically, you will save your time, because no reasoning is required. You don't have to provide the working notes for the same. So, you can save your time while answering the Division A multiple choice questions, and you can use that time while for answering the descriptive part.
So let us take the revision strategy before the examination. First of all, you should go through the let us recapitulate section, which is provided at the end of most of the chapters of part 1 GST. And in case of customs and FTP also, you will find that at the end of the chapters, we have provided you with the let us recapitulate section. It summarizes the entire chapter in the form of diagrams, pictorial representation, charts, flowcharts, so that you can retain those provisions better. So day before examination, what you should do is you should not go into much of the details. You cannot go through each and every chapter in detail. You should take out these summaries and you should revise those chapters from these summaries. In fact, if you want to add anything to any of these summaries because you feel that some provision, you want to write it in your own manner in these summaries, or you want to add any circular, any latest update you want to add to these summary, let us recapitulate section, that also you can do. And before the examination day, whatever preparatory leave you got, in that you have to revise through that particular portion so that you should be ready with your revision material at the time of the examination. And you need not go through the entire chapter in detail because you do not have that much time during the examination, before the examination. You can also refer Saransh because we have recently released the Saransh for indirect tax laws. It has the colorful diagrammatic presentation of all the concepts discussed in GST as well as the customs law. So you can refer the Saransh for this paper also. That will help you in revising the concept day before examination. And while starting with the revision, I would suggest that you should first of all go through the substantive provisions, both under customs law as well as under GST law, because that carries the maximum weightage. In fact, in the previous session, when we in March, this session was arranged, that success at CA examination. There we had discussed the preparation strategies, and there we have focused or we have stressed upon that while preparing for this paper, you should first of all focus on the substantive provisions because they carry the maximum weightage. So it does not mean that you do not have to go through the entire syllabus. It means that you have to study smartly. So no selective study is suggested in this paper, but only thing is that you should pay more attention, you should pay due attention to the section which carries the maximum weightage. So in both customs as well as in GST, the section 1, that is the substantive provisions of these laws carry the maximum weightage because they are the core of the subject, they are the heart of the subject, and you can understand a subject only when you are thorough with the substantive provisions. So once you have done the substantive provisions properly, you can understand the other procedural part and enforcement part in an easier manner. So that is why we suggested that at the time of preparation, you should focus more or thoroughly on the substantive provisions. Similar way, while revising also, first and foremost, you should start with the substantive provisions. Revise the substantive provisions under both the laws. and then go to procedural and enforcement provisions. In customs, we do not have the enforcement provisions in the syllabus, but in GST, the entire GST law is in the syllabus. Therefore, you should revise the, first of all, the procedure, substantive part, then procedural, and then the other enforcement provisions. So this way you will be able to revise all the concepts, all the provisions which are discussed, which are relevant for the examination. After that, what you should do is, since it is a application based paper, this is a tax paper, so you will be having computational problems also, application based questions also will be there. You will be given small scenarios where you have to solve the questions. So for the computational questions, what you should do is, at the time of preparation itself, you should, while revising a chapter, when you go through the test your knowledge section of that particular chapter where all the questions are given for your practice. So while going through the questions, you should mark those questions which you find, where you find some tricky point. First thing is that you, while solving the questions, this we suggested, I think in last session also, that while solving the questions, you should solve them independently without referring to the solution provided by the BOS at the end of the chapter. Don't refer to the answers in the first row. First of all, solve the question on your own independently. Then you compare the answer with the answer provided. So you will be able to locate the area where you still lack the preparation, where you have to focus, or with the mistakes which you have committed in your first attempt while solving the question. Those areas you have to locate, and then those points you should mention that what is the treatment of those tricky points. So that means there must be some tricky point which you were not able to understand in the first row, or you were not able to find out the solution to that particular point in the first instance. So there you should mark those points, and then you should, in a very crisp manner, you should write that what would be the treatment of that particular receipt or outward supply, or whatever adjustment is given to you, what would be the treatment in the answer for that particular adjustment. After that, during day before examination, now you will be having a gist of such issues in each of the chapters, which you should revise before examination, because you have to know, only revising the concept will not suffice. You should be able to answer the computational questions also. You should be able to apply those provisions. Maybe non-computational questions will also be there, where you will be given a small scenario and you have to apply the provision of law and come to the conclusion. So in such questions, maybe while at the time of preparation, you must have located the questions which you found tricky. And at this point of time, before the examination, you should go through all those questions. You should just have a glance at all those questions. Don't try to solve them at that point of time, because you do not have that much time that you go through each and every question, but go through the points which you found tricky in your preparation time. And then now at this point of time, if you revise those points, you will be in a much better position to answer those questions or answer those points in the examination, because they will click you in the first instance when you see the question that yes, this is the point which you have to go through, or you have to keep in mind while answering the questions. This could be something which you can get tricked with while answering the questions or solving the problems. And then give special emphasis to the statutory update for this paper to revise all the latest amendments, because it is a law-based paper. Indirect tax law is subject to so many amendments throughout the year. Indirect tax law is the rule-based legislation. So we get our rules amended through various notifications throughout the year. We get so many clarifications which came throughout the year, which clarify the law. In fact, law is still in its nascent stage, though it's almost more than 6 years, 7 years that law has been enacted. So after 6 years also, there are so many issues which are still open, where we require clarification, which need to be addressed by the CBIC. So therefore, lot many clarifications are being issued. So all these clarifications, all these notifications which amend the rules, all these are very relevant for the examination, and therefore you should pay special attention to these notifications and circulars which are compiled in the form of statutory update. So statutory update for May 2024 examination is hosted on the website. Day before examination, you should specially go through the statutory update, because if any question comes which has any amendment part in it, then you should be very clear that yes, here in this portion, I have to apply the amendment. So this way you can strategize that your revision before examination. And when you go for the examination, you will be in a much better position to recall all the provisions which you have done. Because unless you revise a provision, it will not serve you any purpose in the examinations if you are not able to revise that concept. Whatever you have prepared during your preparation time, but if you are not able to revise that day before examination, it is a very rare possibility that you will be able to recall that during the examination time.
One thing I would like to add that in case of Saransh has already been updated till 31st October
Yep,
2023.
important point.
So as far as when the time of revision for this, particularly for May 24 examination, when you refer the Saransh, then you need not worry about the amendments, because all the amendments which are applicable to the content which is given in the Saransh has already been incorporated at the relevant places. So Saransh is updated till the cutoff date which is applicable for May 24 examination. You can refer the Saransh. Please make full use of it because it has been introduced first time. And obviously, as ma'am explained, the colorful presentations, and it has been given in a very catchy format, and it is also updated. So you need not refer the statutory updates at the time of revision side by side. Whatever provisions, if you have revised thoroughly while studying, while at the preparation time from the study material along with the statutory updates, then you can refer Saransh only.
Important point Swati has highlighted that Saransh is updated till 31st October. In fact, our study material has been updated till 30th April 2023, and 6 months amendments we have separately compiled in the form of statutory update. But if you see Saransh, it has been updated till 31st October 2023 because it was issued afterwards. So it is updated for your examination for May 2024 examination. So you should refer it and make full use of it. It is very useful. And Viraj is asking, I completed 2 readings of modules and attended all live classes. What should I do further for clearing the exam? So Viraj, that is very good that you have done 2 readings of the modules. In fact, while reading the module study material, you must have, I think you must have gone through the questions also. I'm assuming that you have done all the practice of questions also. Then you have attended all the live virtual classes along with it. So that makes the best combination, or that is the best way of going through the subject. Now, what further you can do for examination is you should attempt your mock test paper. You should attempt mock test paper in exam-like conditions. In fact, first mock test paper we'll discuss today some of the questions, but the mock test paper 2 you can at least attempt in the exam-like conditions and try to compare answers with the answers provided therein. So you will be able to assess your preparation for the examination. Then next query, I think.
Yeah. Ajay has asked that previous year exam question papers are reviewed before exam. How much previous year exam papers will be reviewed?
I think you want to ask relevant, how many previous year exams paper are relevant, I suppose.
I
think he wishes to ask that. If your question is different, then you can once again edit your question. So past year questions, because this is first attempt, though indirect tax laws has majorly the syllabus of indirect tax laws is same, but in previous year, while attempting the previous year questions, you have to keep in mind the amendments which have taken place after that examination. Like I already told you that from April 2023 till 31st October 2023, lot many amendments took place. So within this 6 months period itself, there is almost 70 to 80 pages statutory update which is there on the website. So you can understand the quantum of amendments which is taking place in this particular law and which makes it very dynamic. So when you are referring to any previous year question, you have to be very careful that these questions, while answering these questions, you take into account whatever amendments have taken place after that particular attempt. Because in every suggested answer, we mentioned that yes, this has been prepared based on this position of law. So after that date or cutoff date, whatever amendments have taken place, whatever are relevant for your examination, that you have to keep in mind. Yes, Viraj is saying he has practice the questions also. So yes, if you have practiced the questions, then that is the best approach you have adopted. In fact, you have prepared for the examination in a comprehensive manner. So what is left now is the mock test paper, that you should attempt the mock test paper and plan your revision strategy, that how you are going to revise all the questions, all the content which you have done till now, day before examination. So, Swati, will you apprise with the how to manage time in examination? Because now what is more important is that when you go for the examination, how you are going to manage your time.
Yes, very important, extremely important time management, because until and unless you represent to the examiner, basically you show show your performance in those answer sheet, that will not carry any value. Your answer sheet is basically is only available to the examiner to judge your performance, to judge your level of preparedness.
It's a reflection of how you have prepared during the
Yeah.
preparation time. So give your best.
Yeah, give your best. And I will say that, you must leverage the 15 minutes reading time which is given to you before the start of the examination. Now, how you can leverage this? You should give a quick glance to all the descriptive questions except question 1. Why we say except question 1? Because question 1 is a compulsory question. It's a long question carrying a lot of facts. So you might, if you go on reading the question 1, you might, just leave the other questions. That's why we tell you to give a quick glance to all the descriptive questions. Because the reason being, because out of 5 optional questions, 1 choice is given to you. So I will advise you that during these 15 minutes which is given to you for the reading time, you should identify the 4 questions which you will attempt. You should decide the choice, which question you are going to attempt and which question you are going to leave. And identify the descriptive questions which you feel most confident about. This will be the question which you will answer first, setting a positive momentum for the paper. As we know, first impression is the last impression, and the same holds in the examination situation also. So do answer the question which you feel most confident about, and it will also boost your confidence, and you will get, you will feel positive about the rest of the paper. You will be able to solve the remaining paper and in the due course of time and appropriately also. So it's important to do the first question which you are confident.
This creates a very positive impact on your examiner also. You do not have any other way to communicate with your examiner, but when he sees your answer sheet and he finds that you have attempted your first question in a brilliant manner, then he gets an impression that yes, you have prepared for your examination well, and this goes throughout the rest of the copy. When he checks your answer sheet or answer booklet, then this impression goes throughout your answer booklet, and it definitely gives you an edge over other examinees. Second thing is that, in fact, you must have noticed that this Swati has not elaborated here the MCQ portion, that you can go through the MCQ portion during 15 minutes reading time. So most of you would be aware that in 15 minutes reading time, you cannot see your MCQ portion. So only thing you can see is your descriptive portion, and therefore you should bank upon, or you should focus on how to strategize your descriptive portion during the examination time, 3 hours examination time.
Yeah. One query Viraj has asked, I am feared about ITC chapter and block credits. What should I do? First of all, Viraj, there is nothing to fear about any chapter. And especially at this point of time, when you are just near your examination, you have already, in fact, prepared thoroughly, and 2 times, I guess, you have written that you have prepared your
Yes, he has
studies.
done 2 times.
And you have also started your revision. So at this point of time, for any chapter, for any concept, please avoid any sort of fear.
Important.
Whatever you have studied, please feel confident about it, and you have studied thoroughly, so there's nothing to fear. First point. And as far as ITC and block credits is concerned, if you have studied thoroughly for twice, as you are saying, I am sure, I'm sure that there must not be any doubt, because block credit is simple to understand at the final level. At intermediate level, I can understand it may be a matter of fear to you because it's something new to you. But at final level, when you have already studied the input text credit and block credits also, then nothing to fear. Please raise your confidence level also. And if you feel that this is a gray area for you, because gray area might differ from each individual to individual. If you feel that you have got less confidence for this chapter, please use the word less confidence, lack of confidence rather than the word fear. And if you have got a bit lack of confidence, a bit less confidence for this chapter, I will advise you to use it this time, even this week, which you have available. Please make full use of it and revise the area which is gray for you. So if ITC or block credit is the area where you have lack of confidence, or we have a bit less confidence, then please, strengthen this area. Strengthen your weakness, I will say. So, as you know that rest for the, if let's say for the rest of the paper you are confident, as you have already revised your studies thoroughly, then for the gray area you give this time to strengthen your weakness, because block credits at ITC has an involvement in the compulsory question also generally, because most of the times we have seen that compulsory question is set on the computation of net GST liability, and where we have got the few adjustments, few items upon the blocked credits, as well as apportionment of credit and reversal in case of input capital goods and all. So I will advise you to strengthen your weakness. Use this time to go through again the provisions relating to block credits. various examples, many illustrations have been given in the study material. And if you will use this time to again revising this chapter, your confidence level will surely boost.
In fact, best advice which Swati has given to you, that this time which is left now, you should, spend this time on focusing those areas which you are fearing about or where you feel less confident about. And she told you that you should practice the questions which are given in ITC chapter. In fact, in RTP also, one question which is evaluation and synthesis based question is there, because ITC chapter contains the question from where the evaluation and synthesis based questions can be asked. After you have done all the substantive provisions, there is one combined question which has integration of all the provisions at one place. And therefore, that question generally scares the students that how I can go about it. For block credit, we have given a very good tabular presentation within the chapter also. And there is a pictorial or diagrammatic representation in the let us recapitulate section also. So if you refer to both these sections, especially the tabular presentation within the chapter of input tax credit, you will be able to retain those provisions in a better manner. So I would advise that you go through that tabular presentation in the chapter, as well as let us recapitulate. We have already advised that you should refer it. Practice, which she told that practice can only take out your fear, or can take out your this lack of confidence which you are having at this point of time. So this remaining time you should spend on this chapter, and after that you should attempt the mock test paper, because if you attempt the mock test paper before that and you are not able to perform in that particular question, so that will increase your fear. So first of all, spend 2-3 more days on this chapter. That will definitely take out your fear for this chapter. I know you have other subjects also for practice, but since this you are fearing, and I have told you that from where you can practice, Swati has told you the best approach, that spend more time on this chapter. Definitely you will feel more confident. In fact, this would be the chapter where you will be feeling most confident about that. Yes, I have nothing to fear about. I can do it confidently. Yes, Swati, we can proceed.
So we will advise you to you have got 15 minutes and distribute the total time which is available for you for writing the examination between the case scenario based multiple choice question portion and descriptive portion. As I have already advised you that first of all, you can solve the multiple choice questions, because in that case, no reasoning is required from you. So it will save your time. You just have to, you can, let's say if any question requires computation part or calculation of few items, then you can do it in your, rough working notes. You don't have to, present it properly, like by giving reference of any section, or you don't have to frame the legal language, basically. You can just do calculation in your own working notes, out of working notes, which are not expected from examination point of view. And it will save your time definitely, and you will have the confidence that yes, 30% of the papers has already been solved. So you can first of all allocate the time to multiple choice question portion, MCQ portion, and thereafter you can move to descriptive portion. Another thing is that allocate estimated time for each question of the descriptive portion based on its difficulty and assigned marks. See, it is very important that you allocate estimated time, you allocate specified minutes for solving each question. Because what happens is that, let's say a question carries 5 marks. Whether you spend 15 minutes or 20 minutes, or you can spend half an hour, or you write it, you can write about till 1 page or 2 page, it doesn't matter. A maximum marks which you can fetch by writing a very good answer, by spending 30 minutes, you can get only 5, because the question carries the 5 marks. So please spend the time in proportion, in commensuration with the marks which it carries. And another important thing is that generally students ask is that, ma'am, how much we can write, or how much answer is expected from us during the examination, how much paragraph we have to write while answering descriptive or theoretical questions or an application based question. The right answer is that length of the answer doesn't matter. What is expected from you is that you have to write in relation to the requirement of the question. Whatever is required in the question, you have to give the legal provision which is involved in the question, and then you have to apply the facts of the case to the legal provisions, and then give your conclusion. So it doesn't matter, the length doesn't matter. You can write to the point only. There's no lengthy answers, no stories are expected from you in the examination condition. But yes, please follow this sequence. I am going to repeat you again. First of all, you should write the legal provisions which are involved in the facts of the questions which is asked from you. Secondly, correlate the legal provision to the facts of the case. And in the end, give the conclusion. Let's say if in a question you are asked that examine the technical veracity of the opinion given by Mr. X or Mr. Y, then give the conclusion in the end. The reason behind this is that if you end up in giving the conclusion in the first part, it might happen that during due to examination pressure or due to paucity of time, even though you know the provisions which are applicable in that question, you give up you end up by giving the wrong conclusion. Then what will happen is that there are a lot of chances that examiner will not move to the rest of the will not read the remaining remaining answer. If he will see that you have concluded wrong, he will just strike out your answer and you will lose marks. On the other hand, if you give your conclusion, if you give the provision, legal provision, which is involved in that question at the first part, then even though your conclusion, whether it is right or wrong, doesn't matter, but you will get the benefit of surprise marking. So first of all, please write the provision which is involved in the case. You can write in your own language. Legal verbatim language is not expected. You can, but yes, if you are using the keywords which are involved in that explanation of that provision, obviously it will add more value to your answer. And but yes, you can write, you can explain the provision in your own language, and then come to the conclusion which is asked from you. So this is a strategy which I have discussed for answering the descriptive questions. Now I will advise you that you plan your time management in such a manner that you reserve at least 10 to 15 minutes for final revision of the answer. Let's say if in any question you encounter a situation where you see that, yes, I just remember the 1 or 2 points, there's 5 points are asked, but I don't remember the remaining 3 parts, then I will advise you to just allocate the estimated time only to that particular question. You move to the next question, and you can leave some space. You can allocate the space for answering that question. It will save your time, and you have the option to, or you can always come back to the allocated space which you have left in the first space. If you, let's say, while doing the remaining parts of the question, you came across, you remembered, oh yes, these were the points which are involved in that question, or during revision time, if you got time, you can always come back and you can write the remaining parts which you have left in the first space.
That is true. In fact, before you take further this points, Prasad is asking that question paper pattern, will it be more like mock test paper? Question 2 to 6 carrying GST carrying 10 marks and customs for 4 marks. It is going to be the question paper pattern. Actually, mock test paper is an illustrative pattern for the question paper. And since the bifurcation of GST and customs and FTP this time has changed from 75 to 80, GST portion has increased weightage, and customs portion weightage has reduced from 25 to 20 marks. So this is the suggested pattern which is there in the mock test paper. And most probably we might see this the same in the examination also. So you can prepare accordingly. Although it doesn't matter to you, in the examination you have to see the question how much marks it carries, because even if it is a 10 marks for GST, there will generally be a breakup of, it will be broken up into 2 or more subparts. So there will be 2 subparts of 5 marks or 6 or 4 marks, or there could be possibility that 2 questions for 4 marks, one subpart for 2 marks. So you have to see that whatever marks a question carries and you have to answer it accordingly. And Prasad is also asking, ma'am, please explain whether we use 5% per quarter and divided by 60 months. In fact, 5% per quarter, Prasad, if we are using, then we are using it quarterly. So that is not being divided by 60 months. Other one, yeah, yes. Other is when you are taking 60 months format. So which one to take in the examination for the capital goods reversal? So for that, I would suggest that either of the two you can take and need not mention the other one. It is not necessary that if you are taking 5%, then you have to mention 6 months. Both of them are provided in the rules, and there is nothing specific when you have to use which one. So either of the two you can opt for reversal of the capital goods. Prateek Ahuja is saying he needs some guidance apart from IDT subject. So for that, Pratik, I think BOS, this is the I think fifth session for BOS for Success today. So for all other four papers, paper 1 to 4 have already been sessions for them have already been conducted. They are recorded and they are available to you in BOS app also, recorded lectures, as well as they are available on YouTube also. So you can refer those sessions and you can ask query through BOS app also. If you have any specific guidance related query you want to ask to any of the subject faculty, you can ask them. He's saying he appeared in November 23 examination but could not clear the examination because he scored 180. And in SFM, he scored highest, that is 56. That is very good. In audit, he scored less. So group 2 is cleared. So for that, I think you should refer the group 1 papers, which have already been, sessions for them have already been there. So you should refer the recorded sessions and you can talk to the respective faculty also, or you can ask through BOS query. Achha, the reason was that Pratik has also mentioned the reason why he could not perform well, because he was working and couldn't get leaves for the examination. So he studied, achha, he has this time also, I think he has started preparing on 15th April, and he's not been able to focus much on these studies for May 2024 examination, since it is the first attempt, Pratik. I think you should give your best efforts, or you can say whatever time is left with you, whatever you can give best at this point of time, you should do. Don't leave hope at this point of time also. But for this, since your situation is somehow a bit different, so you can, I think he can talk to the faculty over phone also. You can talk to us. Our numbers are provided at BOS Knowledge Portal. You can talk to us. Uh, in fact, for group 1, you are specifically referring for, so you don't need any IDT guidance. And that means
You can take the subject specific guidance also, because you have less time left, and don't lose your confidence, even though you are not able to allocate much time to your studies. But don't worry, because you have spent your time in the practical training, and practical knowledge is also
that will
very
help you.
important. It will
That
help
will
you in
help you.
clearing the examination, because it is a final level. And so don't get fear and don't lose any sort of confidence. Still, if you have any subject specific doubt, you can ask to the respective faculty.
You can talk to the faculty. And in fact, you should be happy that you have one less subject. So instead of 4, you have to do 3. And since you have written that audit and FR, you have not done till this time. So I would suggest you can talk to the respective faculty. They will guide you whatever best you can do in the remaining time. And it might help you for the examination also. Yes, Swati, please proceed.
How to approach the case scenario based multiple choice questions. We will advise you to give a meticulous reading to the case scenario along with the MCQ based on the same. Now, when we advise you to give a reading, I will advise you to just give a, quick reading. Just, first of all, give a quick reading to the case scenarios, and just think while reading it, what all facts, what all provisions are applicable in the case scenarios.
That is very
Like
important.
when you are reading any entry, like when you're reading any facts, you might just click your mind at whether a reverse charge is applicable on it or not, or exemption is there or not. So while reading, just keep in mind what all provisions can get triggered in these case scenarios, and then just go through the questions. And you can then when you can come back again to the case scenario and just mention upon the facts of the case, that what all question, which question is asked from relating to which facts, based upon which facts that the particular question is asked. While in another case, it might happen that a question is there while for computation of aggregate turnover, or the value, or the GST liability, where the facts are not limited or segregated to a particular paragraph, and all the information given in the entire case is used. So just go through the, first of all, give a quick reading, and then go to the provisions which are applicable for you. Then go to the questions, particular questions, and see again to the case scenario that what all informations are to be used in a particular question. As you go through each multiple choice question, focus on identifying the relevant information provided in the scenario and the applicable concept or provision of law which is relevant for answering said MCQ, as we have just discussed. Thereafter, you should mark the correct answer based on your understanding and assessment. Here, again, I would like to lay emphasis upon the fact that in case of multiple choice question, there is no negative marking. So don't fear whatever you understand. First of all, it becomes very important that in case there is no negative marking, don't leave any question unattempted. you should attempt the full paper, as there is no negative marking. Make the full use of it, because even though sometimes you are confused but your answer could be correct, there are high chances that your answer can be right, even though you feel that I'm not aware of it or it might get wrong. But there is no harm in answering the paper because there is no negative marking. So please attempt the paper full. It is attempt the paper complete. There is no question should be left unattended. And if you go through this strategy, I feel that you will be able to solve your paper in the stipulated time.
In fact, you are a final student, so if any question you feel that you have not read the provision, or you're not able to recall the provision at the examination time, then also you should answer that question, because at least some marks, half or 1 mark, you will get in that answer because you have answered it logically. Answer it on the basis of logics, on the basis of whatever information or knowledge you have gathered during the practical training. You will be able to answer it definitely. In MCQ, Swati told you that no reasoning is required, so definitely you should mark the answer which you feel the most appropriate answer. And in the descriptive portion also, don't leave any question unanswered. You should make it a habit in all the papers that yes, I will not leave any question unanswered. I will leave space for that question when I am doing it for the first instance. I do not know the answer, but at the end, while revising, I will definitely come back to this question. Whatever logically I feel that this can be the answer, I will write it. Maybe this fetches me some marks which can help me in qualifying the paper. Sometimes it so happens. So you should never leave any question unattempted. That will definitely help you in leading you towards your success. So make it a habit that you will not leave any question unanswered.
Yeah. And I think one more thing I would like to tell you is that since it is a law paper, taxation, indirect tax laws, so one student has asked that he has gone through the practical training and didn't get much time. Even though don't worry, because there are always a scope of multiple assumptions, and law is subject to different interpretations also. So whatever, let's say if you any concept you don't know exactly what all is there by the provisions of law, and if you are sold at in your practical scenario, then whatever knowledge you have, you can always write the assumptions, you can always give the working notes, you can write the assumptions on the basis of which you have taken a particular view, and you can write your answer in your own words.
Yes, that is right.
Then coming to the time management in case of descriptive question, you should write each answer in commensuration with the marks which the questionnaire is, as we have already discussed. Aim for precise and focused responses rather than writing the unnecessary long and the lengthy answers. Try to adhere to your pre-allocated time for each questions. You always, it is advised that you decide beforehand that how much time you are going to allocate for a particular question. And in case you're not able to give you the answer or right answer in that pre-allocated time, then I will advise you to move to the next question. If you find yourself exceeding the estimated time, move to the next question to maintain your overall pace. And if time permits, you can always return to the question and complete them. And as we have already laying emphasis upon this again and again, they strive to attempt all questions within the pre-allocated time. As the reason, this behind this is that 6 average answers, they can always fetch you more marks than 3 excellent answers. So don't leave any question unanswered. Try to attempt all questions. Let's a simple example. If a question carries, let's say, 5 marks and 6 average answer, at least you will get 4 marks, if not 5. Then you will get 6 and multiply by 4. 24 marks, and 3 excellent answers. At the most, you can get 5 marks only, for even if you get the best of the best answer. So 3 excellent will fetch you 15 marks, and 6 average answers will fetch you 24 marks, and 24 is more than 15. So try to attempt all questions, even though you're not much sure, even though you're not able to arrive at the net conclusion. Let's say compulsory question 1. Generally, it is asked on the computation of net GST liability. Even though your net GST liability might get wrong, let's say, but if you have attempted the question, you get the stepwise marks for all the items, for all the adjustments given in the question. Some of the adjustments might be wrong, due to which your net answer could be wrong. But if you have attempted, you have given reason for all the items which are given therein, then you will get the benefit of stepwise marking. And in case of like this, for this compulsory question, if I'm talking about, I will advise you to give the working note mandatorily, because if you already just adding and subtracting or giving the treatment of a particular item without being supported by working note, then you will not get any marks. Working note really carries marks, so do give working notes for all the computational questions. And even though in case of any question there might be any adjustment for which no treatment is there, even in case of adjustment for which no treatment is expected, no treatment is required, you have to give the reasoning for the same, why the same has been ignored, why anything is added, why not added, why the same is ignored. Also, you have to give the reason. It is why the same, why that particular adjustment is not applicable in that particular question.
Very important point. Students generally tend to leave this point and then they feel that they have not been awarded due marks. In fact, we get lot many students copies that we have not been awarded due marks or where should we improve. So this is the area where they can improve, that they do not write proper reasoning. They feel that writing section number will suffice. In fact, writing section number should be the last thing you should do. You should first of all write the proper reason which should be there. After reading that reason, you yourself should be able to realize that yes, this is the reason why this particular treatment has been done. If you're including something in value of supply, you should write that in writing section 15, as Swati told you, will not suffice. So you should write that yes, this is the reason, this is an incidental expense or subsidy has been provided. It's a price linked subsidy provided from non-governmental organization. So writing section 15 will not suffice. Write the reason, actual reason, which will help you in understanding that yes, why this particular treatment toward this item has been given. So very important point you should keep in mind while attempting the paper.
And as I'm talking about the sections, I would like to lay emphasis here that place of supply, the provisions pertaining to place of supply are governed by the IGSC Act 2017, not the CGSC Act 2017. So generally, when the students write the section number in the examination, they just tend to write the CGSC for all the provisions. But though all the provisions are governed by CGSC Act 2017, you can write if you want to write the section. Then even though in case of sections, I will advise you it is important to write the correct section rather than to misquote the section. If you know, if you're very sure of the section number, then only you write, because it is better not to quote than to misquote a section number. And as far as place of supply provisions are concerned, they are governed by the IGSC Act 2017, not the CGSC Act 2017. And lastly, and very importantly, stay calm and confident during the examination. Manage exam stress effectively by practicing relaxation techniques such as deep breathing and positive visualization. You can just have the positive visualization that obviously this is the last exam at final level. You have cleared all the ladders for becoming chartered accountant, and just after this examination, you will become a professional chartered accountant.
So
So
that
stay calm.
there's that degree or that prefix before your name, it matters a lot. So if we imagine that yes,
Yeah.
after clearing this examination, we'll be called CA so and so instead of our name. That makes us a lot proud and it gives us motivation that yes, we have to do it somehow because we have struggled so much. We have sacrificed so many things for this particular nomenclature or this CA word to be prefixed before our name. So keep going and stay positive. So that will help you in achieving your target.
And at this point of time, what is the most important thing is that don't quit. At this point of time, don't ever think of quitting. Whatever is your preparation level, whatever is your revision level, just keep all the fears out of your mind, and just you can paste on any sticky notes in your room that don't quit. You don't have to quit at this level. You have to perform wherever you stand. Whatever is your preparation level, you have to perform at your best.
Yeah.
Whatever you can do, you
That
do
helps
just
a
do
lot.
your best.
Keeping motivational quotes in your study room and that keeps you going whenever you feel down and you read that. So don't read it in a routine manner that yes, something I have pasted, I go through it daily. Doesn't matter a lot. You have to read that yes, whatever is written is true and you can do it. So whatever motivates you should be there on your wall. Don't matter about the wall's beauty, matter what just think about what you are going to achieve if you achieve what you are targeting for. So keep positive motivational notes in your room and keep reading them every day. First thing in the morning, you should read those motivational quotes. And especially on the day of the examination, start with something very positive. Either you can pray to God or whatever, thanking God for the day you have seen. So, but start with a positive note on the day of examination, and every day you should go through some positive motivational notes so that it can help you in keep going through the process or struggle for the examination. Okay.
Yeah, and one thing, as we are discussing the examination, one important thing is that when you leave from the examination hall, please do not discuss the paper which is already gone.
Another very important
Yeah,
point.
do not don't discuss any question whether you have attempted right, whether you have attempted wrong, or what was the answer. Don't check it in the study material or any or any notes which you have. You don't have to check the answers. You don't have to discuss it with anybody, because in any case it is going, whether it is positive or negative, it is going taking your time of the next examination. And these in in during these specified examination days, each and every minute is very crucial. So you don't have to discuss the past. Basically, just focus on the future, just focus on the what all which examination is ahead, and just focus on the revision strategically, and do not waste your time in discussing the paper which is already gone.
In fact, all of us know this point, but still we forget to preach this, practice this. We only preach that, yes, we should not discuss anything after examination. We all tend to get tempted that, yes, discuss, at least we'll let us compare the answers. Because Swati is saying correct that after the examination, you will not be able to do anything with the paper which you have attempted. After completing all four or all three or all six papers, you can do it. You can introspect yourself in rest of the time. That is not an issue. But during the time when your papers are going on, you have still some papers left to be done. Don't do this. After all the papers are completed, then you can do whatever you want to compare. You can see the answers. You can check your answers with the answer. Suggested answers are hosted afterwards. But whatever you can see from your sources, you can see the answers. But don't do it during your examination time when you have still have some papers left with you. Then don't do this. That can create a panic situation. So we always advise that you should not do this.
And then how to master the art of answering the question. Answer the questions with due emphasis on the provisions of the law. Quote relevant section numbers. Give clear assumptions. The answer, whatever is the assumption, whatever is the ground on the basis of which you have answered your question, just give clear assumption that the above question is based on any circular, let's say, or on the interpretation, or you have assumed any given item to be inclusive of GST, exclusive of GST, or whatsoever. Whatever is the assumption, please give it very clearly. Answer in commensuration with the marks carried by the question we have already discussed. First attempt the question which you know the best. We already have laid quite emphasis on it. That first impression is the last impression. And your answer sheet is only reflection of your examination preparedness, your revision, how much hardworking person you are, or how much intelligent, or how much efforts you have put on. Your answer sheet is the only reflection of it. Present your answers well, and as far as descriptive, non-computational application and analysis-based questions are concerned, recall the legal provision which are involved in the situation given in the question, correlate and apply the same in the provided issue, give conclusion with correct answer, length of the answer to be in commensuration with the marks allotted, and answer in properly framed language. Avoid giving generalized answer without capturing the extent provision. You don't have to give the general and the vague answer. Whatever you answer, that should be in relation to the legal provision which is applicable in the given case. What points to be borne in mind while answering comprehension and knowledge-based question? As we know that generally there is one question which is C&K, that is comprehension and knowledge-based question. In that question, there are basically no application of the facts. It is not based on application of facts. It is generally the direct question. And while answering such question, you should highlight the main points with brief description, such as bullet points with heading. Example may be given if required, and you can break the answer in brief points or paragraphs, and whatever marks that question carries. Let's say if a question carries 5 marks, and in the question, the points which are applicable in my, they are 8 or 10, then you can write always any 5 points or any 4 points, depending upon the marks which the question carries.
Yeah, you can answer the question as per the requirement of the question. Now, we have some queries that, in fact, Simranjeet Singh is asking a query that should before the examination in IDT, should we go through each and every paper of the page of the chapter? And if yes, how to cater it? I think Simranjeet, you
He
have
joined late, I think.
he has joined late, I suppose, because this is the first thing we discussed today.
Yeah.
So you should not go through each and every word or every page before the examination. That is not possible also, because you get very less preparatory days this time. I think more than one is there, I suppose, in our paper, but otherwise 1 day preparatory leave is there. So what you should do is you should go through the let us recapitulate section given at the end of each chapter. If you have prepared your own summaries, that is best. That is, in fact, we always recommend, though we have given let us recapitulate section, but whatever you prepares on your own, that you are able to recall in the examination time in a much better manner. So this summary, whatever you're using, let us recapitulate section or saransh, you should refer before the examination, and you can add certain points if you feel to make it more comprehensive for your purpose, or you can, to make it customized as per your purpose, you can add something, some points or some provisions, some circulars to it, if you want to make it customized as per your point. Next thing is that you should go through the computational questions which you have found difficult at the time of preparation. So those questions where you found that yes, some tricky points were there, highlight those points at the time of preparation itself, and at the time of day before examination when you're revising your syllabus, then these questions also, those points in those questions should also be revised, so that if similar type of question or point comes in the examination, you are able to do it confidently, because you have just seen before the day before examination or before the examination, you have revised that point, you will be able to answer that question more confidently. Then Prasad is asking, acha, OIDR services, he wants to have a little idea. Prasad, let me see other queries, then we'll take your query also. We'll try to take your query in this session. Simranjeet is asking, can we do customs and FTP from revision video only and focus more on GST part to target exemption? See, Simranjeet, we always suggest that you should go through we never suggest selective study. That is not the criteria, and that should not be your strategy. But only thing is that you should see the weightage of each section. So part 1 has a weightage of 80 marks, part 2 has a weightage of 20 marks. So we always ask the students to devote their time accordingly. Within each part also, we say that section wise weightage is given to you. So you should see which section you have to focus more, how you have to prepare each section, and how you can feel confident in a particular section. With the manner of preparation depends on you. So if you feel that you can feel confident only by doing this much portion, or this way you can study and still you can attempt the questions in examination, that can very well help you. But for that, you should attempt the mock test paper and see that whether your way of preparing is fine or not, because don't go for the examination directly and test your manner of preparation. Naveen is saying, just because it is a new syllabus, whether there is drastic change in paper pattern. So you can refer the mock test paper for a suggestive or illustrative pattern. Like Prasad also asked the same question. Go through the mock test paper. But first of all, prepare everything, then go for the mock test paper under the exam-like conditions. That will help you in assessing your preparation also and knowing the paper pattern also. Ashwin is asking, while quoting these sections, shall we be able to quote main section instead? Shall we be able to quote main section instead of mentioning in subsections? For example, in problems like value of supply, if we mention section 15, sorry, instead of mentioning the subsections, is it okay in the notes by writing only section 15 instead of quoting extra subclauses? Ashwin, in fact, this is the point I just discussed a few minutes back. I think maybe it arose because of that discussion, or you have yourself drafted this query. That is, when you are mentioning reason for any particular computational question or the application based question, then when you're referring the section, we always suggest that first of all, the question section should be correct. You should not misquote any section, rule, or case law, section number, this notification number, circular number. It always gives an edge to your answer, but you should not misquote it. Second thing is, if you are not sure about the subclauses, subsections, do not write them, only mention the main subject. Third thing is, writing the correct reasoning or explanatory notes are more important, right, rather than writing these sections. It definitely gives an edge to your answer, but what you should do is you should write the provision first of all properly, right? If you write section 15 and you write the provision correctly, that will suffice. So you should focus more on the legal provision, and that's what he already told you, that you can write in your own language. No need to reproduce it verbatim from the act or law. You can, but only thing is that meaning should not be changed. When you are reproducing it, when you're writing it in your own words, same meaning should be conveyed. Sometimes we feel that we have answered it correctly, still we did not get the marks. But the reason is that the meaning somehow gets changed sometimes when we try to write it in your own words. But that does not mean that you should write it verbatim. Only you should take care that when you are writing something in your own words, same meaning gets conveyed from that. Okay. So I think we can start with the mock test paper. And before that, let me quickly take that OIDR service which Prasad is asking. OIDR service, Prasad, is a service which is provided using the online means or by use of information technology, by using internet. If you are providing any services, that is called on OIDR service. Okay, now OIDR services are actually somewhat why the students find them difficult is because they have somewhat different treatment from all other services or all other, you can say all services are on one platform, but OIDR services are going another way. In fact, this time online gaming, which one has received from a person located outside India, and similarly OIDR services from a person located outside India, they have been placed at the same footing. This is one amendment which you can cover or you can memorize on the same points as OIDR services is there. So online information and database access or retrieval services, they are the services which one receives from the in fact you can receive remotely also. OIDR services, if somebody is receiving, you can say these are the information technology services or services being received by the medium of internet. So if a person is sitting in India, he can receive services from somebody outside India also. It is also a possibility that these services are provided from someone within India. Two persons are there, recipient is also there, and supplier is also there outside within India, and their services are being provided. First question is, what is the place of supply in case of OIDR services? So because whenever you have to tax any services, they are being taxed in the normal manner as any other service is being made taxable. Second thing is, what would be the place of supply? Do we have any special place of supply for the OIDR services? No, we do not have any special place of supply for the OIDR services. It falls under the default provision that if recipient and service provider are both located in India, Section 12 will be Section 12 of IGST Act. At Swati's emphasized that it is IGST Act. Why we are emphasizing it? Because you have to study so many subjects at one time. You tend to forget the name of the act, and we go in one flow that everything is governed by CGST Act, and we tend to write that. So that is why we have focused it that yes, IGST Act is very important for the place of supply.
One thing I would like to add, during examination, if you are confused whether CGST or IGST, you can avoid all sort of confusion. You can write as per GST law.
Yeah, that is also suggested that you can write GST law, that would also suffice. Only thing is provision should be very correct and accurate. So Section 12 will apply if both OIDR service provider and OIDR service recipient is in India. Section 12 will apply for determining place of supply, and that there also Section 12 subsection 2, that is the default provision, will apply. In case of in case one of the service provider or service recipient in case of OIDR services is located outside India, then Section 13 will apply. So in case, so that is, and that is to the default provision. There is no specific provision for OIDR services. Now, in case the OIDR services are provided by a person located in India to a person in India, then simple, the location of service provider will be the place of supply, and service would be taxed in the normal manner as we tax that service. In case the recipient is located in India and service provider is outside India. Now, this is the situation which requires certain special provisions to be applied, or certain provisions which are some off the track provisions which have to be applied. That is, if supplier is outside India, recipient is within India, then in that case, what will happen? Section 13 again will apply. Section 13 default provision provides that location of service recipient is the place of supply. Now, therefore, in that case, the place of supply is location of recipient. Now, service will become taxable in India because place of supply is India. In order to tax any service, in India, place of supply should be in India. Now, recipient is India, provider is outside India and recipient is within India. Then the question arises, who is the recipient? If recipient is a business entity, and that business entity should not be a governmental organization, state government, central government, or local authority, because we have a special exemption for that. But if the recipient is a business entity is, then in that case, that business entity has to pay GST, because that becomes taxable under reverse charge, or reverse charge provisions will apply. In case of any services received from outside India, reverse charge provisions will apply. But in case the recipient is a non-taxable online recipient. Now, who is a non-taxable online recipient? He is an unregistered person located in the taxable territory. So business entity, if it is registered, then simple reverse charge will apply and business entity will pay the tax. But if services, OIDR services are being received by a non-taxable online recipient, that is an unregistered person located in India, is receiving OIDR services from a person located outside India, then in that case, now here there is a change, there is a difference. That is, that person who is located outside India, who is providing services, he has to take registration in India and he has to pay tax. This unregistered person cannot be made liable to pay tax on such services. This is a provision which deviates from the normal provisions of law. So that person will take registration, service provider outside India will take registration within India. For that, anyhow, a simplified procedure for taking registration has been prescribed, because it becomes difficult for a person outside India to take registration and comply with so many formalities which are there for the Indian taxpayers. So a simplified procedure has been prescribed for it. He has to take registration in India and then he has to pay the tax. So unregistered person who is located in India and receiving OIDR services from a provider outside India is not liable to pay the GST. So this is the crux of the OIDR services. Now, I think Prasad gives you an idea of the OIDR services, and we will now start with our mock test paper, though we have almost half of the time has already gone, but to the extent possible, we'll take the questions. So this is the first mock test paper which is there. In fact, I would suggest all of you to go through second mock test paper now under exam-like conditions, because some of the questions today we'll be discussing. So that will give you an idea of the questions. Okay, as Swati already suggested, that when you are going through the case scenario based questions, what you should do is you should give the case scenario a careful reading. Try to, correlate it with the provisions of law which might get invoked in such a situation. So at the time of reading the case scenario itself, we should try to locate or identify the provisions which might get invoked in these cases or in this situation. Then you should go through all the MCQs and then once again go through the case to find out that where the related provisions are related facts are given for answering that particular MCQ, because you know which provision will be applicable, where the information in the scenario is there for answering that question, and then you can apply that and arrive at the final answer. So first is the case scenario 1 is Galgotia Travels Limited is established on 3rd April in the city of Bangalore, and the primary objective of the company is to provide the air-conditioned contract-based passenger transportation service. Okay. So the company obtains voluntary registration on 1st May. So on 1st April, it started the business, and on 1st May, it obtained the voluntary registration. So its registration became effective on 1st May itself. Had it become liable for registration and then it had applied for registration, then we would have to see that on which date it applied for registration, whether within 30 days or after 30 days. But since it is a voluntary registration, so the day on which it obtained the registration certificate, that is 1st May, will be its effective date of registration. On 1st July, the company purchased motor vehicles, omnibus. Now, this motor vehicle is an omnibus. For clarity, this has been mentioned here, of various sitting capacities as follows. The sitting capacity of the omnibuses or the motor vehicles which the company has purchased are given to you. That is 8 persons. And mind here it is given including driver. Now, this provision is generally when the sitting capacity of the motor vehicle is given to you, 2 provisions get clicked in your mind. One is regarding the ITC availment, block credit, that motor vehicles with the capacity up to 13 persons, including driver, the credit on those motor vehicles is blocked. Generally, it is blocked in case of the passenger motor vehicle carrying passengers. So that provision gets attracted. Second, which get electronic commerce operator, because you can see that in the succeeding paragraphs, electronic commerce provision is being discussed, or electronic commerce operator is being there in the picture. So that provision also gets attracted, because in case of the omnibus, the provisions of section 9(5) get applicable. Now, to what extent they are applicable, what is the exception, that we will discuss. But these are the two provisions which might come to your mind. Now, for the month of July, so this is the seating capacity of various motor vehicles. Then what is the number of motor vehicles it has purchased? Now, for 8 persons, 4 motor vehicles in 3, 2, 1. So this is this third motor vehicle with a capacity of 13 persons, including driver. 1 motor vehicle of such sort has been purchased. Purchase price per motor vehicle is given to you, and then respective rate of GST on which it has been purchased is given to you. So it might be helpful in computing the ITC. This gives you an idea when you read this. Next information is from the month of July, GTL associated with POCO Limited to enhance the business operations. Now, POCO Limited owns or operates an electronic platform. Now, this word electronic platform gives us a clear indication that it could be an electronic commerce operator. Now, we have to see how it operates to ensure that, yes, this is an electronic commerce operator for supply of passenger transportation services in Bangalore. So, POCO Limited is operating an electronic platform through which the passenger transportation services are provided, and within the state of Bangalore itself, where this GTL is registered. Company, that is POCO Limited, it developed an application called POCO. So this is the application which is there, or which this company has developed for providing services to its customers. Now, what the customers can do, they can access the nearest available motor vehicles or cabs through this app, and then they can avail the transportation of passenger services through this app, POCO Limited. POCO Limited collects consideration for the services from the customers and remits the same to the service provider after retaining the commission charged for using its electronic platform. Now, after reading this information which is given in this paragraph, it is very clear that yes, POCO Limited is an e-commerce operator. And therefore, section 9(5) can be involved in this. That is also a possibility. TCS provisions can also be available, can be attracted. So you should be, these provisions should be there in your mind when you read this information, that yes, there could be an application of these provisions. Next information is the details of few bookings of GTL in the month of July are as follows. Now, these bookings are provided by GTL on its own account. And this is an important information which you should keep in mind. So here ECO is not involved. These services, so that is not a compulsion that he should provide services only through an ECO. He has taken help of an ECO for providing services, but he can provide services on its own. So that is the case here, that these are the 6 orders which he got on his own, and he had provided these services. So the information of these services or bookings has been provided to you. Now, what is important here is that in each of these cases, they have mentioned that whether the recipient is a registered person or an unregistered person. They have mentioned that registered in the state in which they reside. So when we have to find out their place of registration, the place of residence of the customer will be the state of registration. Otherwise, he is an unregistered person. So we have to see what is so generally this helps us, or this gives an idea that yes, there could be an application of the place of supply provisions. We have been given date of travel, date of payment or booking, and moreover, additional information given here. In all above cases, the journey is a single day journey and invoice is issued electronically on the date of travel immediately after completing the journey. So there could be an application of time of supply provisions also. So in all the above cases, there is only one single day journey. That means we have traveled from Bangalore to Chennai in single day, or from Chennai to Bangalore in a single day. And after completing the journey, the invoice has been issued. So date of travel and date of invoice is the same date. Same day the journey has been concluded and invoice has been issued. Now, details of passenger transportation services supplied by GTL through POCO Limited. Now comes the ECO. So first, the information regarding the services provided by GTL on its own account. That means GTL has not given these services through ECO on through its own sources it has provided, or people have directly approached GTL for getting these services. But the second information is services provided by GTL through POCO Limited. That means the services provided through ECO. And the GST liability on the supply is also given to you. So in case in July, the value of services which has been provided is 1 crore 30 lakhs, then 1 crore 25 lakhs in August, and in September 1 crore 40 lakhs is the value of services which has been supplied. You have been given the CGST, SGST, and IGST amount on these services because the bifurcation of these services, that whether these services have been provided interstate or intrastate particularly, has not been given. What has been given to you is the amount of GST which is applicable. So CGST and SGST amount, it shows that yes, these are the intrastate services and 4 lakhs is the interstate services. But clear bifurcation here, it is not given. Okay, so we have to make use of this information which is given. All the amounts are exclusive of CGST, SGST, or IGST as the case may be. So whatever amounts, wherever they are given value of services, or here the booking amounts, here that is not given. But the purchase price of the machinery which is given, here also it is mentioned that it is exclusive of taxes. And at the end also they have mentioned that yes, all the amounts are exclusive of taxes. Okay. So now we have the another information. Booking is confirmed only after paying total fare for the journey. So the payment has been paid in advance. Everywhere the payment, whatever booking we are getting for the journey, first of all, we receive the amount and then we book the journey for that particular person, and then journey is conducted. This is an additional information. There are no outward or inward supply transactions for GTL in the relevant period apart from the above transactions. So in case we have to compute the GST payable, we have to compute ITC, anything for this particular period, then we need not get confused that will there be any other activity or transactions. Otherwise, even if this has not been mentioned, then also if no information is given, you cannot assume anything else. Whatever information is given to you in the question, you have to compute it from that information itself. So in that case, you need not worry about other transactions. It is only mentioned to make you more clear that yes, these are the transactions which have been carried out. Subject to information given above, assume all other conditions necessary for availing ITC have been fulfilled. Now, whatever information, whatever riders have been given above, otherwise all the other information, their tax has been paid to the supplier and services have been received within the time, and all other conditions which are there for availing ITC used in course or furtherance of business, everything has been fulfilled subject to the other information which is provided above. So GSTR 2B, the information that whether the supplier has filled his GSTR 1 and then it is being reflected in our GSTR 2B, we need not worry about those factors which are not mentioned. So that is what this point 4 or note 4 reflects. Now come to question number 1. Now question number 1 provides that, just a minute. Question number 1 provides that amount of blocked credit in respect of motor vehicles purchased by GTL on 1st July are. Now here we have to compute blocked credit as per section 17 subsection 5. Okay, we have been given 4 options, but before that we'll go to the relevant area where we have got this related information or where we can get the information regarding the blocked credit. We have already seen on 1st July he purchased certain machinery, certain motor vehicles. Now the question is asking what is the amount of the blocked credit which is there in respect of the motor vehicles which has been purchased on 1st July. Now on 1st July he has purchased these 4 type of vehicles, or you can say the vehicles with the sitting capacity of 8 persons, 9, 11 and 13. And the number of vehicles which has been purchased is also provided to you. Then it is given, rate is also given to you. So you have to compute with this particular information that what is the amount of blocked credit. Now let us compute it. Let me take the question with me also once again. Yes. So first is the motor vehicle with 8 persons capacity. Okay, now let us see first what the provision of ITC provides. ITC provision in this respect, or you can say because you have to first of all see what is actually blocked in respect of the motor vehicles. Any motor vehicle which is used for transportation of goods, the credit of the same is freely allowable, that is not blocked at all if that motor vehicle is used for transportation of goods. Second comes the transportation of passengers. So if any motor vehicle is used for transportation of passengers, then we have to see the seating capacity of that particular motor vehicle. And if the seating capacity is up to 13 persons, including driver, that means if we are saying that is 12 plus 1. So the persons who are able to sit in that motor vehicle should be 12 maximum, and driver, including driver, it should be 13. So if it is 13 persons, any motor vehicle which has a capacity, seating capacity of 13 persons, including driver, credit on that motor vehicle will be blocked, provided the seating capacity is, it is used for transportation of passengers and the seating capacity is up to 13 passengers. These two conditions should be satisfied. Now, in case the seating capacity is more than 13 passengers, then credit would be available. That is fine. Now, if we see in our case, the seating capacity is 13 persons, including driver. Okay, 8, 9, 11, and 13. So it is less than 13. Seating capacity is less than or up to 13. Here it is 13. So the doubt might come in our mind that yes, the credit is blocked on this particular motor vehicle which we have purchased. But the another exception here is that in case this motor vehicle is being used for providing the transportation of passenger service, then the credit would be available. So since this person GTL, this company GTL has a business of providing transportation of passenger service only, and this motor vehicle is being purchased for that purpose, so this will be allowed as credit. So credit will not be blocked in this case because the services which are being provided by the recipient is service of transportation of passengers, and this motor vehicle is being purchased for providing service of transportation of passengers. So this motor vehicle credit would be available. Now, so I hope this is clear that credit would be available in this case. Credit will not be blocked. Why? Because it is being, the exception is being invoked or exception is being attracted here, that motor vehicle is being used for transportation of passengers. Though capacity is up to 13 persons, that becomes blocked. But since the motor vehicle is being used for transportation of passenger service, credit is available. Now, next step comes, we have to compute the credit. Now, blocked credit, in fact, we have to see that what is the blocked credit. So if you see, there is a question, there is a case we might not compute it also, but for next step, we have to compute it though, for next question, because next question, it requires the computation of electronic cash ledger by GTL. So there we have to compute ITC. Otherwise, if we see this question, that what is the blocked credit? So whatever is given to you, everything will be available. Amount of blocked credit as such would be nil. So you have to see the question clearly, whether question asks the credit or question asks the blocked credit. But for next step, definitely we have to compute this ITC amount. Here you see the amount of blocked credit. Now nothing is blocked. So therefore the amount of blocked credit becomes nil. So this option becomes wrong. Then option B is also not right. C will also not be right because CGST, SGST nil, but IGST amount is giving. In this case, all the 4 motor vehicles are eligible for credit because they are being used for transportation of passenger service. Therefore, the blocked credit per se will become nil. This is the correct option. In fact, ITC amount we need not compute for this particular step. We just have to see whether anything is blocked or not. Had it been a blocked credit, then we would have to do the computation and arrive at the correct answer. So there is no blocked credit here. So correct answer is option B. That is the, in fact, we would like you to solve these questions because
Yeah.
if you can provide us with the answers, though first question I have already discussed with you. Second also, I will start discussing the provisions.
You can
But in the meantime,
simultaneously
simultaneously you
solve
can solve.
and
Yeah.
give us the answer. We will also, in that manner, your level of preparedness will also be
You
judged.
yes, you can yourself judge because you might not be able to attempt this particular MTP now, but you can, at this point of time, you can see that whether you have gone through the provisions or you have understood the provisions or not. So in the meantime, I will discuss the provision. You start solving the question on your own also, and let's see whether you have arrived at the correct answer.
So one thing I would like to add in this case is that particularly for this case scenario, like as you can see, that lot of facts and lot of numeric information is given. As a student, what happens is that when we see such type of case scenario, we get horrified. Oh, it will take lot of time, so much calculations
we
will
get
be
panicked.
involved in this. Yeah, we get panicked ki lot of calculations, it will require lot of time, lot of computation would be required, how we will be able to solve the question. So one person advice, don't get panicked. it might happen that the requirement of the question is such, or the requirement of the question is such that, when you see the facts or when you see the provision, basically numeric, just like the example we can see in this question number 1, no calculation is
Yeah,
required
that
if
is
you are
very
going to
important point.
answer this question number 1. And even in for a complete case scenario, I will advise you, let's say it might happen that out of 5 or 6 questions which are arising of a case scenario, 1 or 2 questions might require computation. In that case, let's say even if that question gets wrong, you can easily answer 4 parts. So it is important, first of all, don't get panicked. And even if 1 or 2 questions get wrong, you are able to answer 4 questions and they are not requiring any sort of computation. If you know the correct provisions. So, at this final level, what all is, well, basically the fundamental requirement is that the conceptual clarity is very, is of prerequisite. Conceptual clarity is of paramount importance. If you know practically, if you know that block credit is applicable in which cases in motor vehicles, what is the limit for the number of passengers, and what are the exceptions to a particular entry of block credit, then no computation is required and you can solve this question in in a very short span of time.
So every question does not require computation, and there may be a case that you do not require long computations in every question. Some questions might require it, but don't get panicked by seeing the question with so many figures and so much data that yes, how will I proceed towards the question? It's very important. In fact, as a student, this is something you need to ensure, you should be sure that yes, I will be able to do it. So very important point highlighted by her. Let's go to the next question. Now, in fact, I would request all of you to give us the answers for the questions and start solving them with us. Second question says amount of GST payable through electronic cash ledger. Whatever amount GTL will pay through electronic cash ledger on the services supplied by it through POCO Limited during the month of July, ignoring the provisions of Rule 86B. Now, this is relaxation which has been provided to us. Even if Rule 86B getting invoked in this particular question, we can ignore its provisions. Rule 86B, you know that it provides that in case the value of supply is more than 50 lakhs in a particular month for a supplier, then it cannot pay, or it can pay only up to 99% of its output tax liability using its electronic credit ledger. At least 1% it has to pay from the cash ledger, or it has to pay at least 1% of its output tax liability utilizing cash. So this is, but we do not have to worry about 86B provisions. We just have to see what is our output supply, what is our inward supply, and then we have to set off the two to arrive at the net GST payable in cash, or net GST payable through electronic cash ledger. So let us, and in fact, before solving this, I would tell you that the TCS or TDS amount, whatever is deducted by by the TDS deductor or TCS collector, whatever TCS has been collected by the person while making payment to us, that gets reflected in the electronic cash ledger as a credit. So when you are debiting, when you are paying through your electronic credit ledger, cash ledger, that TCS amount also gets paid. So that comes in our electronic cash ledger as a credit. When we are debiting our electronic cash ledger, entire amount or entire output tax liability gets debited. Okay. This is the way of, this is how TDS or TCS operate. Now let us see the relevant information. So it is saying that electronic cash ledger amount, or the GST payable through electronic cash ledger for the services provided through POCO Limited. Now, what are the services which are being provided through POCO Limited? This is the piece of information which is relevant here. Then it says for the month of July. For the month of July, it has to pay. Now, here it is an, see, before this, we should first of all see what is the Section 9(5) provisions, because we know that in case of Section 9 services which are notified under Section 9(5) of the CGST Act or under Section 5(5) of the IGST Act, whatever services have been notified, in case of those services, the electronic commerce operator, any services which are provided through electronic commerce operator which are notified under Section 9(5), tax will be paid by the electronic commerce operator himself. Okay. Now here, what are the services which GTL is providing? GTL is providing the services of transportation of passengers through electronic commerce operator. Now, this electronic commerce operator is providing this GTL, this transportation of passenger services of omnibus for GTL. Earlier, there was a provision that the service of transportation of passengers through maxi cab, motor cab, and including omnibus also, they were notified under section 9(5). That means the ECO will pay tax in such a case. Now here there is an amendment which is applicable for May 24 examination, which provides, first of all, in this entry which has maxi cab, motor cab, and other transportation mediums, there the omnibus has been taken out from that. There is a separate provision for omnibus. For omnibus also, the section 9(5) is applicable, or it is also notified. Service of transportation of passengers through by an omnibus is still notified for the purpose of section 9(5). But in case this service is being provided through an ECO by a company, then in that case, section 9(5) will not be applicable. Okay. Now, Prasad is saying, because I found this query in our query portal, that Prasad is saying e-commerce operator has to pay, hence option D for question number 2. That means GTL is not required to pay tax. Now, in this case, since the what is happening here is that the electronic commerce operator in this case will not pay the tax, because GTL is a company. Services which are being provided are service by way of transportation of passengers by an omnibus. Person supplying through this ECO is a company. GTL is a company, you can see. GTL is Galgotia Travels Limited. That means it is a company. So this new provision or new service which has been notified, or the way 9(5), the services under 9(5) have been amended. So the amended provision provides that now services provided, services by way of transportation of passengers through an omnibus, through an ECO, will be paid by, tax on the same will be paid by ECO only when the supplier is not a company. But in this case, supplier is a company. So 9(5), the provisions of 9(5) does not get attracted in this case. Okay, so now what will happen? In this case, the tax will be paid in the normal course. That means whatever the way we pay the tax, that will be paid, or you can say we'll take out our output tax liability as well as the input tax liability. So we have to see the answer, what is there. Yeah. In fact, maybe the answer is also correct, but we have to compute it first of all. Okay, maybe Prasad, whatever you are saying is right, but your reasoning which you are giving, that e-commerce operator has to pay the tax, that is not correct. E-commerce operator will have to pay tax only when 9(5) provisions are there. Then he has to pay the entire tax. If 9(5) provisions are not attracted, then what happens? TCS has to be deducted. E-commerce operator will deduct TCS from whatever payment of consideration he has to pay to us. From that, he will deduct TCS at the rate of 1% in case of IGST. In case of CGST and SGST, at the rate of 0.5% each, he will deduct TCS. So since this amendment, I wanted to highlight that yes, this amendment is being attracted in this case. So we have to take it into consideration. Now we come to the computation of the electronic cash ledger. Okay, but I have to see the question. So we have to compute it for the month of July. Okay. Now for the month of July, if we see the question provides us with the CGST amount, SGST amount, and IGST amount. In case this person, GTL, this company provides services through an ECO, what is the amount of CGST, SGST, and IGST which is payable? Output tax liability has already been computed for us and it has been provided. Now this becomes, I think we should go to next page, because here we'll compute the ITC. Okay, and this is 9 lakhs output tax liability. 9 lakh and 4 lakhs. So output tax liability we need not compute. Now what we have to compute is the amount of ITC we have to compute, because we know that the ITC can be set off. So the provision which earlier existed that under 9(5), the ECO has to pay tax. We have to pay tax in this case. That is there. But how we have to compute the net GST liability? This is what we are arriving at. Now, what is the credit which is available? ITC which is available. So for 8 persons with the motor vehicle with 8 persons capacity, there are 4 motor vehicles and 10 lakhs each at the rate of 10 lakh each. So that makes it 40 lakhs. So 40 lakhs into 9% each. Now that brings it to, in fact, in the meantime, we'll write
3,60,000.
3,60,000. Okay. And so this is CGST and SGST. And similarly for this 12 lakh into 3, 36 lakhs into 9%. Because for 9%,
3,24,000.
3,24,000
CGST,
is GST. And similarly, we have this 11 persons capacity motor vehicle, that is 28 lakhs into 9%.
2,52,000.
2,52,000. So CGST and SGST liability comes to the total of this. Because the next transaction is an IGST liability.
9,36,000.
Okay. And the IGST, which is payable on 13 persons motor vehicle, that is 15 lakh into 18%.
2,70,000.
2,70,000. So this is the ITC which is available with us. This much amount of IGST and this is CGST and SGST each. So if we go to the output tax liability which we have, you remember these two amounts. So CGST liability is 9 lakh, SGST liability is 9 lakh, IGST is 4 lakh. So we know that first of all we have to exhaust the IGST liability. But for IGST we have only 2,70,000 as our ITC. So we will reduce 2,70,000 from this.
1,30,000 will be left.
So 1,30,000 liability is still left. For CGST, we have the liability, we have the ITC of 9,36,000. So I think that makes it possible to set off entire 9 lakhs from the same. And now we get 1,30,000 remaining. So for this, what we can do is 36,000 is left here and 36,000 is left here. We can use this CGST and SGST amount for IGST because the sequence of set off for ITC provides that you can use the credit of CGST for the set of CGST first and then for IGST. Similarly, for SGST, you can use the credit of SGST for SGST liability first and then for the setting of IGST liability. CGST and SGST cannot be used for each other and we do not require them also. We have enough CGST and SGST credit. So out of 1,30,000, 72,000, 36,000 CGST and 36,000 SGST has to be reduced.
58.
That makes it 58,000 IGST liability and this CGST is nil and SGST is nil. So let's see which is the correct option. See, this is the question 2, which provides that A option is 9 lakh CGST, 9 lakh SGST, 4 lakhs IGST. So we have not set off any credit. This answer will be marked by those students who have marked something, who have taken some block credit, who have taken the entire credit as block, they will mark this option, but this is the incorrect option. C option is also not correct. IGST is 1,30,000. D option, CGST, SGST and IGST annual, this is not correct because we have to take the credit, of the motor vehicles, and after setting off the credit, we have got the, just a minute. I think some technical issues there. The computation sheet is not coming, no? You can ask the technical person for this. But we have seen the computation. So there you have understood that yes, just few minutes back we saw the computation sheet that the correct answer is CGST nil, SGST nil and IGST as 58,000. So that is the correct answer after setting off the credit of the motor vehicles. Now the third question. Third question is amount of tax to be collected at source under CGST, SGST and IGST. In fact, one question can come in your mind that when we are taking electronic cash ledger, amount payable through electronic cash ledger, why we have not deducted the TCS amount? Because here nothing has been mentioned in the question. It only says amount payable through electronic cash ledger.
Blank
This
sheet is not coming, please. Note, working notes.
So, amount payable through electronic cash ledger. Just a minute, students. We are just getting that technical glitch being corrected. Welcome, students. So after the technical glitch has been fixed, we are now back. We were on question 2. We have done already question 2. Now we are on question number 3. The amount of tax to be collected at source under CGST, SGST and IGST. So since no bifurcation is given to us in the question, the information which is given to in the question. So the question also requires similar manner that whatever is the total amount of TCS that can be collected or that has been collected by POCO on the taxable services made by it in the month of July, August and September. Now, here the TCS provisions after the amendment will apply because now section 9(5) provisions will not apply. We have already seen in case of omnibus when the company is providing services through the ECO, then the TCS, then 9(5) provisions will not apply, provisions of section 9(5). Therefore, what will happen? The tax will not be paid by the ECO. In fact, what ECO will do is it will deduct or it will collect TCS amount from the payment to be or payment of consideration to be made to the supplier. Now, in this question, what is there is the information which is given to you is in July, it has provided a value of services of 130 lakhs, 125 lakhs in August, and in September, 140 lakhs. But the bifurcation, whether how much amount is for service for interest rate and interest rate, that is not given. What we know is we have to deduct TCS from this amount because 9(5) is not applicable. So POCO Limited must have collected TCS. TCS in case of IGST is at the rate of 1%, in case of CGST and SGST 0.5% each. So overall, TCS of 1% will be deducted from this, will be collected from this value of services. Whatever tax will be collected will be at the rate of 1%. So what we have to do is 1,80,000 into 1%, and similarly 125 into 1% and 1,40,000 into 1%. That comes out to be 1,30,000, yes.
1,25,000 and 1,40,000 respectively. That is option B is
So
correct.
this makes option B as correct option because this has been computed at the rate of 0.5%, which is wrong. Here for only CGST and IGST we have taken, that is also wrong and it's not the correct amount also. D says A, B and C are nil, but since TCS has to be collected in this case. Now this is the difference which has come after the amendment, that now the TCS now has to be collected by the ECO. So Prasad is saying for question number 3, option B is correct. Yes, Prasad, you are right. In fact, Prasad has answered question 4 and 5 also. That is very good to see that you have already done them. And I hope other students are also doing, so they will also give us the correct answers. Those who are with us in Zoom also will give us the correct answers. So let us start with question 4 now. Place of supply for order numbers. These are 3 specific order numbers which are given to you because you can see that now when order numbers here are given only in case where we have booked the orders on our own or where GTL has booked the orders not through ECO or otherwise through direct booking it has taken the orders. Now, the orders which are given to us is 435, then 534 and 987. So these are the 3 orders for which we have to compute the place of supply. First of all, which service GTL is providing? GTL is providing place of transportation of, transportation of passengers. Yes, service, transportation of passenger service. So do we have a specific provision for transportation of passenger service or it comes in default provision? It comes in the specific provision of section 12, subsection 9. Why section 12 will apply? Because both supplier and recipient are located in India. So section 12 will get invoked. In section 12 also we have a specific provision for transportation of passenger service. So we'll not go to default provision. We'll go to section 12, subsection 9, which provides that in case the transportation of passenger service is provided to a registered person, then the location of such recipient will be the place of supply. Whereas in case the recipient is unregistered, then from the place from where he embarks the journey, where the journey is started, and he gets into the vehicle, or he gets into the conveyance, that would be the place of supply. Now, in this question, if you see this table, everywhere you have been specifically provided whether the recipient is registered or unregistered. That means the customer, whether he has obtained registration or not. After that, we know that from where the journey has started, from where he must have embarked the journey into the conveyance. Now, these are the cities from where the journey has embarked. That is also given to you. So we just have to check whether the customer is registered or unregistered, and on the basis of that, we can determine place of supply. So if we see, in fact, we can do it for all 6 orders. If we see the first order, that is CA 234, in that case, the customer is registered. Now, since he is registered, the location of the customer, that is Bangalore. Now, why we have taken his residence to be his location registered place? Because it is already mentioned registered in the state where they reside. So since he resides in Bangalore, he must have got registration in Karnataka. And that is why we have taken this location. That means he is registered at this place only. So we have taken this to be the place of supply. So in first case, the place of supply will be Bangalore, because the person is registered. His location will become the place of supply. Second case, the customer is unregistered. Now, here we have to see from where he has started the journey. Now, he has started the journey from Bangalore. This becomes the place of supply. Third case, again, the customer is registered. So, his location becomes the place of supply, that is Hyderabad. Then CK 987, person is again unregistered. The customer is unregistered. So, Hyderabad becomes the place of supply. In fifth case,
In question only, the place of supply of order numbers CA 435, PH 534, GK 987 is asked. Since ma'am is explaining you, so we are telling you the examples. We are telling
yeah,
you
we are
which
taking
place of
all
supply.
6 cases, but question asks only 3.
Only
So
for
this also
three.
you have to take in mind while answering the question in the exam. Sometimes information is given to you, but that might not be asked in the exam. We are doing it only for our information purpose, or only for our practice purpose we are doing it. So in UV 777, the customer is registered, therefore his location, that is Mumbai, it becomes the place of supply. Now last is unregistered customer. So the place from where he has embarked his journey, that is Chennai. So for the 3 transactions for which the place of supply has been asked, the answer becomes Bangalore, Hyderabad and Hyderabad. Let's see what is the correct answer in question 4.
First.
It is first option. In fact, Prasad, your answer is correct. That is option A in question number 4.
So please mark carefully the question, what all information is asked. This is a very, good example, question number 4 and 5, where in the questions of transactions or the place of supply or time of supply of
Selected
the particular
transactions is asked.
selected bookings is asked. So please mark very carefully what all is required, because it might happen that you know the provision, but while answering, you might take like in the sequence.
You might take first 3.
First
That
three or
could be.
last
So you have
three.
to see exactly which transactions they have
Right.
asked. That is what. Fifth question is time of supply for order numbers 234, 777 and 001. So the 3 remaining transactions for which we have not determined place of supply, they're asking time of supply for them. Now for time of supply, you should know the date of provision of service, the date of issue of invoice and date of payment. First of all, the date of provision of service. Now in the question, it is mentioned date of travel. Now, travel has been completed in a single day. So this is the date on which the service got completed. Then they have mentioned that invoice is issued electronically on the day of travel immediately after completing the journey. So on this date, the invoice also has been issued. Now, when the service is completed, an invoice has been issued within 30 days of provision of completion or provision of service. Then in that case, how do you determine time of supply? Time of supply is date of payment of service or date of invoice, whichever is earlier. Now, this date of travel is date of completion of service as well as date of invoice. And so this is date of invoice. This is date of payment, whichever is earlier. These are the 3 transactions for which we have to determine the time of supply. CA 234, UV777 and XE001. So in case of first transaction, it's either 5th July or 3rd July, whichever is earlier. That makes it 3rd July. In fact, after doing this question, I will tell you one more information which is given in the notes, which makes it very apparent what would be time of supply. Then in case of UV777, date of invoice is 22nd July, date of payment is 20th July. Earlier of the two will be 20th July. And in case of the XE001, 25th July or 23rd July, whichever is earlier. So what it will be 23rd July. So 3rd July, 20th July and 23rd July will be time of supply. Let us see the answer. So C, 23rd July, 20th July and 23rd July. In fact, date of payment will precede the date of invoice. This has already been given in the notes, I think. Booking is confirmed only after paying total fare for the journey. So date of payment would always be will always precede the date of booking. That means we have always received the advance payment here, and that is why it is being taxed here. This comes in the place of time of supply also. This is being reflected in the time of supply also. So now we have already reached at the end of this session. Question 1 is complete, scenario 1. We have now seen how you have to approach MCQ based case scenario in the examination. We have seen what are the provisions which are attracted. Every amendment you have to take into consideration. This can be there in the MCQ based scenarios also. And while answering the question, keep in mind all the provisions which are applicable in that particular scenario. So I think with this, we come to an end of this session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully, I think now you have understood the way you need to approach while solving the multiple choice questions. In the case of case scenarios specifically, you need to keep in mind that you please do not panic by looking at the information of the facts. Use facts given in the question, and be very careful about the requirement of the question, as we can see from the question number 4 and 5. And above all these things, don't lose don't lose your confidence level, and don't quit.
Yeah.
You can take away.
Keep going.
Basically, I think these are the takeaways you can keep in mind, and don't quit. Keep going, and just come out with the flying colors and do inform us.
Wish you all the best for your examination. So we wish success to all of you for the forthcoming examination. And with this, we come to an end of this session. Thanks for the patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.